And we are back, folks. The Michigan football film study focused on the defense with Vance Bedford. Another season. We are back up on the heels of a national championship. And I got to tell you, Vance, Tiki, Maggie, we're back. How you doing, Vance Bedford?
Doing fantastic and just enjoying the time right now. And Maggie and I, we took us a nice trip with the money we made from Michigan inside of last year to Portugal, brother. It was a wine cruise. We going down the Douro River in Portugal. We had a blast. So I want to thank the fans for your help and your support. We continue to need that.
Yeah, man. We went to Del Frisco's, Vance. That was a nice steak
Ooh.
dinner down there. That was great, man. We had a great time.
Well, we had
Uh,
prime beef. That's that Texas beef. You can't get no better than that, baby.
Man, I gotta tell you, it was so much fun. I got sick as a dog during that trip, but it was so much fun because I know what it's like. I found out what it's like for these coaches, for Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh, when they hire these coaches to be these analysts.
Yeah.
I felt like with you and Al in that whole run with going through the Bama tape and the Washington tape. When I say y'all had them down cold with the scouting reports. It was scary, Vance. It was scary, man.
But Sam, the game is simple. Sometimes we want to make it complicated. I mean, what you see sometimes is really there. Everything is, I'm going to move a piece here and there, but they're going to run the same plays. And once you figure out what they're doing, it's easy. Like, I watched the Texas Washington game. I said, if we take away the fade routes, whether it's the slot outside guy, they have nothing because they can't run the ball on us. But guess what? We took it away. He had no passing game. Game was over with. Whoever got started, the quarterback, he still remember what happened to him when he was at Indiana. See, he had them nightmares in the back of his head. They were still there, and he had them. He had flashbacks, Sam. He couldn't help himself.
Well, listen, exciting times because the film studies have increased in popularity every single year. And we have told you every single year they were a labor of love, that we were doing them for the entertainment, the education, and the edification of you, the people. Uh, but to do them, we had to do a fundraiser just to make it go because I mean it's it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, right? It just couldn't do them for free to get it takes we had to Tiki takes money to take care of Tiki. We had to send Maggie on a vacation, right?
That's right.
So in order to keep doing them, you fans, you stepped up big to make it happen, right? But we want to do it bigger. We want to do it better. And we want to reward you for your loyalty. And so we have some help because we got some bigger fans for the film studies who said, man, you guys are doing such a great job. We want to amplify it for the people. We want to take it to more fans. We want to make these offerings better than ever. Enter Tom Brady and the autograph app. You know Tom. You know Tom. Tom was on the team when you were coaching at
Tom
Michigan,
was
wasn't he?
He came in as a freshman with Woodson. They came in together. He was my scout team quarterback, and he took a beating and kept on ticking like a Timex, baby. And I remember that year, that freshman year, and Scott drives by, gets hurt. So I'm kind of saying Tom Brady might want to take a look at him. I say he is tough as nails. But again, we have Brian Greasy, some other people that were ahead of Tom at the time. But and Tom was just something special. My hat's off to him and everything he has accomplished.
Well, listen. So we told you about Autograph last year. What is Autograph? Autograph is an app that aggregates the fan experience. Everything that you already do as a fan available in the palm of your hand. Whether it's your Android, see, I'm a Droid. I'm a Droid guy. Don't come after me for my Droid. My man Devin Gardner, he laughs at me because I'm a Droid guy. But see, Autograph is available on Android. Of course, it's available on iPhone and your iPad, right? And so when I say it aggregates your fan experience, your favorite blogs, your favorite podcasts, your favorite YouTube channels, aggregates all of those fan offerings right on the Autograph app. all kinds of fan experiences. It's what you already do as a fan, reading blogs, listening to podcasts, watching breakdowns, all in one place. And taking that fan experience to another level, earning you rewards for every act of fandom that you do. And not only that, the Autograph app is completely free. It's available to you on Android and on iOS, currently featuring NBA, WNBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, fantasy football, and NCAA sports, with more sports on the horizon. And now, exclusively on the Autograph app, the Michigan Football Film Studies. It is the only place after this first episode. So we're going to have the Michigan Football Film Study focused on the defense, and the Michigan Football Film Study focused on the offense. You're only going to be able to get them on the Autograph app after this first episode, because this first episode is going to be the concept, this concept episode that we've been telling you all about, where we're going to go over, hey, what's what's cover 6, right? Tell me about what's a 2-eye. You want to know what are some of these terms that we talk about all the time. We're going to go over that in this concept video, right? And so you're going to be able to refer to this video over the course of the year. If you get confused about something, you can always refer back to this video to brush up. But week after week, when we're breaking down Texas and we're breaking down USC and we're breaking down Ohio State, those episodes are going to be available exclusively on the Autograph app, doing it bigger and better than ever. Available for free. All you got to do is download that Autograph app. Listen, it's very simple. Putting that QR code up on the screen right now for you. Just check it out right now. All you got to do is, if you don't know how to, just take your phone, scan that QR code. You can download the app right now, get ahead of the game. If you don't know how to scan apps, I'm going to give you the link. It is link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. It's again, link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. It is where you can get all the best Michigan content aggregated in one place on your phone. All the things that we do, all our free content, it'll come through on the Autograph app. All of our YouTube videos, all of our podcast content, right? Of course, the football film studies right here on the Autograph app. So download it now and get ready and stay up to speed all season long. And another exciting announcement. So, like I just told you, so Vance was like, Sam, let's get with it. Like I'm chomping at the bit. I want to break Michigan down. Vance, you guys broke down Washington and Bama so cold. I said, hey man, how about we take this to another level? How about we break down Ohio State all season long? Vance, do you think while we're breaking down Michigan every single week, every single game, you think you could break down the Buckeyes all year long too?
Every day of the week, 365 days of the year. Remember, hey, I was in Michigan for 5 years. You work on them for 365 days of the year. I mean, all the kids just said, people sit back, oh, I'm not worried about them. Yes, you are. And it's in the back of your mind every single day. So right now, those butter ducks down there, you know what? They still crying. It's been, 3-4 years right now. So they went out and bought the best coaches, the best players. They done spent millions of dollars trying to build a team for one reason, to beat the Wolverines. Well, guess what, Sam? When you soft as butter, it don't get no better than that. You put butter out in the sun, what it's gonna do, Sam? It's gonna melt. You can't get it hard. Once you take it out, once you throw it out, you can't put it back in the freezer because it's not the same anymore. So understand, the butter ducks, they just can't help themselves.
Forever flaccid. Forever flaccid.
Yes.
Buckeyes.
Man, we're gonna get them mad early this year, Sam. We're not waiting.
Listen. So this is how this is gonna go. All right. So Autograph stepped up And they've taken on the film studies. And so that means they're taking care of Al and they're taking care of Vance as far as breaking down Michigan football film. But when it comes to breaking down these Buckeyes, here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to make sure they have Ohio State film after every game, right? I'm going to have my guys getting the games every single week. They're going to get it to Al and Vance. And then during Michigan's 2 bye weeks, so the first bye week, we're not taking that week off. We're going to have a film study that is it's going to be the Buckeye breakdown, the Buckeye film study, bye week edition, right? And so it's going to be the Buckeyes or the first half of the season with those first 5 or 6 games, right? And then subsequent to that, I'm going to send them the Buckeye film from the next 5 or 6 games. And when Michigan hits their next bye week before the Northwestern game, we're going to have another Buckeye film study. And that is going to break down the Buckeyes up to that point. And that's going to lead us into the final 2 games, which is Northwestern and Ohio State. It's going to be the most thorough and intense preview of Ohio State you've ever seen from a Michigan perspective. Now, in order to make this happen, we are going to have to put together a fundraiser, much like we did last year, except this is dedicated to the Buckeye Breakdown. All right, so we're going to put this on the screen. We're going to run this fundraiser all year long, and this is the Buckeye Breakdown fundraiser. Okay, and we're going to make it happen, and this is going to drive the Buckeyes nuts, right? Because it's like, oh, we got 2 former coaches breaking down the Buckeyes? Damn right. Damn right. That's what we're going to do. And if the Michigan coaches happen to, because we know the Michigan coaches, the Michigan coaches watch your breakdowns. Don't you know that, Vance?
Yes, they do. They say they don't, but they do. I already know they do. Because you know what? From Mike McDonald or Jesse, all of a sudden things we talk about the next week, we see them. Like, they listen. They can say they not. They checking us out.
They are. Hey, Vance, so we can talk about it now. So we did one of them last year. It was when Click was like, hey, Vance got Vance got, hey, he had something to say about my coverage.
Hey, and what I tell you to tell him, give him my phone number so he can call me. Hey, don't be asking somebody else. Goes right to the horse's mouth. Never call me, Sam. He never called me.
Right, but the point is, the coaches watch.
That's
So
right.
if they happen to take some tips from the film study, more power to them. More power to them. It's like Michigan fans. It's like you're paying to have some extra analysts for the Michigan football staff. That's like what you're doing. So let's get this Buckeye breakdown underway. Let's help fund the Buckeye breakdown. We're going to have 2 Buckeye film studies in both Michigan bye weeks. Let's make it happen. The link is on the screen. We're going to put the link in the description and the link in the comment section. We're going to make it happen all season long. So you got your marching orders. Download the Autograph app so you can view the film studies. Go to the link to help fund the Buckeye breakdown, and let's have the best Michigan football film study season we've ever had. All right. With that, Vance, it's time to get underway. We got to get into some of the basics. So I wanted you to give the fans sort of a Montessori experience football wise. Treat us like we're football novices, football neophytes. If you were talking to a football fan who you got to teach the basics to, where would you start?
I always start with the offense, to be honest. I mean, in order to play defense, you need to understand how to defend. What's a gap? What's the A gap and a B gap? And from there, how do you defend each gap? Who aligns in those gaps, whether it be a 1, a 3, or 5, or 7? And then you talk about formations. How do you name each position, each player? Then from there, how do you call plays? How do you call routes? Those type of things. So as a defensive coach, always teach offensive concepts. So now when we start putting in coverages, they have some idea as far as what we're talking about. When we start talking about formations, who's X, who's Z, who's S, who's W, who's T, who's H, those type of things.
Mhm. So we're starting with
Up front first.
up front first. So description of alignments.
Yeah.
All right,
Then gaps.
alignments and gaps.
Yeah.
Alignments and gaps. All
Real
right.
simplicity because in defense, you have to take every gap up. Every gap somehow has to be filled either by a person aligning in that gap or somebody standing to that gap. If you don't, then all of a sudden we have problems in the defense.
All right. So let's do description of gaps. That's what I'm about to bring up for your screen right now, so you can describe it for the people. And let's share that screen. Description of gaps, Vance Bedford.
All right, here we go. Real simple. If you start from inside out, you start with the center. So between the center and the guard, we call those A gaps. So you have two A gaps. And then between the guard and the tackle, you can see right now we have what? We have B gap. Between the tackle and tight end, C gap. And outside the tight end, D gap. And as you get out wide where a slot receiver might be, we call that E gap, which you rather talk about. So again, the alphabet, you have A gap, B gap, C gap, and D gap. When you look at a defense, we try to fill every gap with a defensive position to take any inside running gaps away to send the ball wide and outside. And last year, Michigan did a great job as far as taking away A, B, and C gap, making people have to go D and E, which we had too much speed where people really couldn't hurt us whatsoever. So again, once again, center and guard, A gap. Guard tackle, B gap, tackle tight end, C gap, outside the tight end, D gap, and out really wide is the E gap.
Yeah, and it's important to note as people are thinking about this conceptually, it's not just players lined up on the line of scrimmage, lined up in those gaps.
Not at all.
Linebackers are, for instance, accounting for these gaps too, right?
Yes. Yes. Every secondary people are accounting
Secondary
for the
people
gap.
for
When you
sure.
talk about the D and E gap, for example, we're gonna get into coverage later. It could be a safety in cover three or a corner in the cloud technique. They're responsible for the D and E gap based on formation. So we have 11 guys on defense, and believe it or not, we have 11 guys responsible for certain gaps in the defense.
If you need to go back and you're wondering about when they talk about the A gap or double A gap blitz, when they talk about a double A gap blitz, this is what they mean. They sending two guys up both A gaps right there. You can see it.
Sam, talking about like last year, we talked about, well, we're going to be in, we call it a wide defense. Well, in other words, we have both tackles, defensive tackles, they line in the B gap, Sam. And both of our linebackers walk up in the A gap, and then both defensive ends, they're in the D gaps. So again, we have six guys up, and every gap, we have a defensive player in every gap, which means also the safeties probably got the C gaps based off of coverage. So here we go right now. Okay, let's talk about defensive alignment. Anytime you are head up, it's always an even number. So let's look at the center. The center is a zero technique. In other words, we're going to have a person directly on top of the center. Let's go to the guard. If you head up on the guard, that's a two technique. If you head up on the tackle, that's a four technique. If you head up on a tight end, that's a six technique. So anytime you head up, you got 0, 2, 4, and 6. You're counting from inside out. Okay, now the next thing is if you're a shade on the center, it's called a one technique. So either left or right shade, it's a one technique. If you're outside shade of the guard, that's a three technique. If you're outside shade of the tackle, that's a five technique. And we call the outside shade of a tight end a nine technique. Okay. Now, anytime we're in an inside shade of a position, for example, let's look at the tight end. We call that a six eye technique. In other words, that alignment is inside eye of that tight end. If we go to the tackle, you could be in a four eye. He's an inside shade of the tackle. If you go to the guard, if you inside shade of the guard, it's a two eye. So you got head up, even numbers. Inside eye is two eye, four eye, and six eye. Outside shades are 1, 3, 5, and 9. Now, 30 years ago, You see what 6-eye is, Sam? We used to call it a 7 technique. And how they got to the 7 technique, I don't know. But again, conceptually, 2-eye, 4-eye, and 6-eye is inside eye of a guy they align upon.
All right,
So
and so the shades.
yes.
Explain to me, why am I not just doing head up all the time, for instance?
Well, if you do head up all the time, it's tougher. No one really plays head up except for unless you're in bear defense. The only guy that's head up is a nose guard. He's a
Mhm,
0 technique. So you always going to take something away. If you just line head up on a guy, it gives the offense an advantage.
mhm,
If you ever see our defensive line head up on guys like a 2 technique and a 4 technique, we finna blitz you right now.
mhm,
Everybody knows what we're gonna do. We got a twist, we got a blitz on. So in other words, for us to be strong in gaps, for example, we talked about gaps a minute ago. To take away the B gap, guess what alignment you're gonna be in? You're either gonna be in a 3 technique or a 4-eye. You're gonna be in that gap to take away that gap. To take away the B gap, the C gap, guess what? You're gonna align in that gap. So
mhm.
again, A gap between the center and the guard, B gap between the guard and the tackle, C gap between the tackle and the tight end. So we're going to actually put a body in that
Yeah.
particular gap
Mhm.
by alignment to take that thing away. It makes you stronger, and it's a lot easier for a defensive player to take that away. Now, just to stay with this, if you talk about linebackers have a gap too. For now, we just add a 0 to them. For example, if you look at a 3 technique, if I was a linebacker's depth, we'd call that a 30. If you look at a 5 technique, he on the line of scrimmage, if you put him at linebacker's depth, we call that a 50. So all you do is add a 0 to a linebacker, and that tells you he's at linebacker's depth right now. For example, if you look at a 1 shade, if you add a 0 to that, it'd be a linebacker, he's in a 10 technique. So in other words, you got a 1 technique for a D lineman, a 10 technique for a linebacker. You got a 30 technique for a defensive tackle, a 3 technique for defensive tackle, a 30 technique for a linebacker. In other words, we are telling the guys what to align. So again, by alignment, we're taking gaps away. Every gap must be filled. So now they cannot run inside. We call them vertical seams in the defense. That's when you give up big plays. So we're taking away every inside seam to make the ball go outside. This is like if I have a shirt and I tear a seam in it, all of a sudden you can see some things I don't want you to see. You can see my fat. I don't want you to see that, Sam. You feel me? So therefore, I got to make sure I got everything seamed together. So now I don't mind you seeing my shoulders, but up in here, I don't want you to see that, Sam. So
Mhm.
we taking away all inside seams and make the ball go outside. So now it's a longer run for the offense to get to our goal line.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. All right, so people are getting an idea of alignments and fronts, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I want to see if we had, we were able to show that in one of the games, right?
That was think the Iowa game we
The
had the
Iowa
front
game.
and
Yeah,
cover 6 on it. Yeah.
yeah. So let's go ahead and pull up some footage.
But
Share.
again, I'm just hoping the fans from the sideline they can see how we align. We call the over defense. That means the defense is shifted over to the tight end. So you have a 3 technique and a 6 technique to the tight end. Away from the tight end, you have a 2-eye, which means A gap, and a 5 technique, which means what? He's in a C gap. So when we talk about over defense, we slid the front over to the tight end side, which we'll see that in a little bit.
Mm.
So we
And so
went from
this
the
was
inside.
this was Iowa and versus Iowa in the Big Ten championship game.
Here we go right now, right there. So here we go right now. As you can see from the diagram, let's go from the left to the right. Our left defensive end, that guy to the boundary, here's what I call a loose 5 technique. So he is in a C gap. The tackle's in a 3 technique. He's in the B gap. The defensive lineman to the field, he's in a 2-eye. We put him on what? An A gap. And then you can see the other defensive end, he's in a 5 technique, a loose 5. Look at the linebacker on the hash. See, right now, he's in what? He's in a 10 technique. He's in a shade on the tackle, on the center, linebacker's depth. The other linebacker, he's in a 40 technique, head up on the tackle and linebacker's depth. So you can see the alignment as far as where we are right now and what guys are doing. I think you have put those alignments on there.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming up.
Here we go, perfect right here. So you can see it right here. I was ahead of myself like I always am. So you can see 5 technique, C gap, 3 technique, B gap, 2-eye technique, A gap. And then you got a 5 technique. Then you see a linebackers and a 10 technique, A gap, 40 technique, they put them in a B gap. Okay. Anytime you see even number, they have to win inside out. Okay. So again, you can see the alignment that we talked about. You can see every gap right now is taken. If you look at the left defensive end, the 5 to the boundary, you got A, B, C gap, the 3 technique, B gap, the linebacker, A gap, the 2-eye, A gap, the 40 technique, B gap, the 5 technique, C gap. Every gap inside is taken. And then if you want to go even wider, because we got cover 6, the corner to the boundary coach, he's out there. Technically, we call it an E gap that was on that diagram. So anything out wider, that's his fit. So you get an idea as far as alignment. And a lot of times your alignment tells you what your assignment is going to be also. It goes hand in hand. I always say, if you know your alignment, you know your assignment, you can play aggressive, but now you can make any adjustment possible. I call it the 4 A's. I used to call it the 3 A's, and somebody said, no, Vance, there are 4 A's. Alignment, assignment, adjustment, and then be aggressive.
Mm-hmm. So just giving you your screen again, so you can kind of give the kind of show the numbers, the diagram again, and line it up with the picture.
Yeah. So again, you're on the center, you see the 0 or 1 technique. 0 is head up, or 1 is a shade. He's on the outside shade in that gap.
Mhm.
With a 2 technique, you head up on the guard. A 2-eye technique is inside shade of the guard. 3 technique is outside shade of the guard. 4 technique, head up on the tackle. 4-eye technique, inside shade of the tackle. 5 technique, outside shade of the tackle. 6 technique, head up on a tight end. 6-eye technique, inside shade of the tight end. 9 technique, outside shade of the tight end. So again, we're going from inside out. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The game is really that simple. It's
Mhm.
really that simple. And you can see it right here. This is a perfect diagram of everybody in alignment. Now, we got a stunt on right now, but just the alignment of everybody, how they play, how the gaps are taken up. And anytime you have any kind of twist on, a lot of times a 2-man twist eats up 3 gaps and protects the linebackers.
So hopefully, when we say 2-eye or 3 technique, now you understand what it means.
Yes, we have an idea of what we're in. So anybody sitting in the stands, for the ladies out there and your husband, sometimes they know everything about. They are the greatest coaches ever been around. Or your husband, they're on the couch, they have all the answers. But you sitting in the stands and you've been watching these videos. No, baby, I'm sorry. He's in the over technique. That's over defense. That was a 5 technique. You know, right now he outside the tackle with a tight end there. He's gonna be wider. So I know right now he's forced. So you're gonna be able to talk to your husband. He'll look at you like, how do you know that? I just know that. That's what women do. They just know things. You know everything, which means you know nothing. I actually pay attention.
Right. So listen. All right. So we're giving you some foundation, right? Giving you some foundation about alignments and techniques, right? We need to build up their understanding of basics of coverages.
Yes.
I think when you say man to man, people know what you mean, Vance. But then when you start getting into zone coverages, now you start to lose people, Vance. That's when people start to get a little foggy.
We do. And on that note, and we got some other diagrams, but it's like being in a math class, Sam. I take it back. You got to be somewhere, yeah, math class. So 1 equals a whole. Just the number 1 equals a whole. So when you start breaking the field up, for example, we call cover 6. That's quarter, quarter, half. In other words, you got 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/2, that equals what? 1 equals a whole. So you always trying to divide the field up so it comes out to 1. For example, we call cover 3. We got 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals what? Equals 3/3. So it's equal 1. So we're dividing the field into thirds. We call cover 2. We're dividing the field into equal halves. You got 1/2 plus 1/2 is equal to 1. So let's say you're playing cover 4. We got 4 guys deep. So you divide into 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. That equals 4/4, which is 1. So therefore, that's how you divide the fields when you start talking coverages. And people have different names for it. But simplicity wise, cover 2 is 2 deep, cover 4 is 4 deep, cover 3 is 3 deep. When we call cover 1, we got one guy deep, and everybody else is playing man to man. So just real simple terms for everybody to learn.
All right, so I'm gonna bring up a couple of your diagrams. You went to your archives to bring up
Oh,
some.
I went back some things I hadn't seen in years. I've thrown things out and given most things away. And this right here, this is just cover 2. And we have a write up in cover 2. But cover 2 is what? 2 deep. 2 guys deep is 5 underneath. Now, here, let's talk about the front. This is over defense. You got a 3 technique. You see the shade on the left guard, Sam? You got a 6 technique, head up on the tight end. You got a 1 technique, head up on the center. Then you got an end and a 5 technique on the right tackle. Now, free safety, strong safety, they both got half the field. I got half field on my side, half the field on the other side. In other words, you go right down the middle of the goalpost, Sam, and if you were to fold it over, they each got a half of that field deep.
So
So now that's
your free safety right here,
as a
your
boundary
strong
half and the
safety right
strong
here.
safety got the field half. They each got a half field. Okay.
So if I'm splitting the field, I'm taking my mouse and I'm splitting this field in half. The strong safety got this side half of the field. The free
The free
safety got
safety
this
got
half.
the other side half. Like I said, if you go down the middle of the goalpost and cut it in half, I got this half, you got that half, we got an equal half.
Mhm.
And because it's too deep, there's 5 zones underneath. So when you talk about the corners in cover 2, their primary responsibility is trying to keep the number 1 receiver from going vertical. For example, you can see the boundary corner, you see Z. His job is try to find a way to keep the receiver from just going fast down the field to get him inside to the free safety. The field corner is trying to reroute the X and get him inside to the strong safety. In other words, we're trying to shrink the field to make it easier for our half field guys to defend those guys. Okay. Now, look at the nickel back. We call that guy really a vertical hook guy. In other words, he has to defend anything in the hook because the corners are in the flat. And the flat is from the line of scrimmage to the goal line based on routes. And I know that's a little complicated, but in other words, if, for example, if the 1 and 2 receiver, the X and A, if they both went vertical, just straight down the field on a full speed, okay, that means that the corner will carry the guy he's on the X, man to man, all the way to the goal line. That nickelback would carry the number 2 guy all the way to the goal line. You go to the boundary, if the Z and Y both went vertical, the boundary corner will carry that guy all the way to the goal line. The will linebacker is a vertical hook player. And that what that means is anybody goes through the hook vertically, he has to carry him all the way to the goal line if 1 and 2 goes vertical. The Mike, he relates to number 3. In this particular diagram, the back is in the number 3 is in the backfield. Therefore, he drops over the back about 10 to 12 yards deep, and he reads the quarterback. So in other words, we got 2 guys deep, and we got 5 guys underneath. Now, when you talk about underneath coverage, Sam, you got 2 flats, you got 2 curls, and we call it a strong hook. That's based off what number 3 is. So they got 5 underneath zones. Guess what, Sam? We have 5 guys to match those zones.
Mhm.
So we matching every zone underneath, and we're protecting those 5 guys underneath back deep.
Mhm.
And for let's look at the will linebacker. Sam, you know what kind of lineman that is? That's a 10. He's in the A gap at linebacker's depth. Look at the Mike. That's a 30. He's in the B gap at linebacker's depth. So again, you can see how it carries over as far as our alignment, and sometimes our alignment tells us what our assignments are.
You described Cover six is quarter, quarter, half. So you're taking a cover two concept and marrying it with a quarters concept, and so
Exactly.
and putting them together. So let's go ahead and do that by bringing up a cover six
Okay.
diagram right here.
Here we go. Cover six is quarter, quarter, half. So again, let's talk about what that means. To the boundary, to the short side of the field, a hash mark, ball on the hash. So a third of the field. So therefore, the boundary corner, you see I got squat. He's a cloud corner. That free safety is one half. To the field, the field corner is 1/4. The strong safety is 1/4. So let's go back to math class. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus one half is equal to what? It's equal to a whole.
Mhm.
So 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4, right? Which is a half. So one half plus one half, Sam, guess what?
There's a
That equals a one. So there you go right now. And underneath now, we only have four guys underneath. So technically it's three deep, it's three guys deep. We instead of breaking into 1/3, we broke into a quarter, which is equal to a half. Then one guy has had the field, and we just talked about cover two already.
uh-huh.
And so now let's talk about in this situation, you see the S, Sam slash nickelback. We call that guy a quarter flat technique. And what that means is this: he has anything to the flat off of two or three. He's aligned on two right now. In this particular diagram, three is in the backfield. Okay,
Okay,
now go to
so before we move on, when you number
from
receivers, you count from the outside in.
outside in. So, for example, the diagram you're on right now, Sam, that guy's one. Slide your hand inside. The next guy is two. And guess what number three is, Sam? He's in the backfield.
Backfield.
Okay, let's go to adjacent diagram. So now outside in, that go one, two, and the tight end is what? Three.
Three.
And then if you look at some sheets we hadn't covered yet, the outside guy is Z, the inside guy is S, the tight end is Y, and the guy to the boundary is the X.
Mhm.
That's how we name things.
Yeah, I'll bring that up. I'll bring that up.
We go back to that. But again, so that's the Sam slash nickelback. If you look at the diagram to the right, to the three receiver side, quarter flat technique means this: if two or three goes to the flat, he takes them right now. Otherwise than that, if one, two, and three goes vertical, Sam, that quarter flat player, he takes our defense last year, he would take him all the way to the goal line.
Mhm.
The cornerback has number one, man to man. If he goes vertical, he takes him all the way to the goal line. The strong safety, because these nickel Sam is going to take number two vertical, he will now take number three all the way to the goal line, man to man.
Mhm.
The free safety, half field guy. The cloud corner, you see Cleo or Meg. That means anytime it's four guys strong, let's say the back was offset to the three receiver side, he would not go man to man on number one in the trail technique. The will linebacker is a vertical hook player. In other words, the left diagram of one and two went vertical, he'll take number two all the way to the goal line. And a
So
Mike linebacker has a final number three.
so
With
when you say you have a cloud corner, what's a cloud corner?
cloud corner is number one, he's primary run support. In other words, if it's running his way, he's a guy who he is forced. He has to turn the ball back to his teammates. Now, if pass develops, his job is to reroute collision number one and get him back inside to the half field safety. We don't want them to put a horizontal stretch on the defense, on that safety. In other words, we do not want that guy to go outside of him down the sideline, because now that's a stressful situation for the half field guy. It is tough for him to cover that right now. So again, we're trying to collision that guy and get him back inside into the free safety's vision.
Mhm.
Also, it gets him back inside to the will linebacker also.
So important, folks. Listen, you don't have to remember what all these guys' responsibilities are in these coverages. All right, not expecting you to know what the strong safety is supposed to do in cover six and what that's not important. What's important for you to know is to understand the concept. What is that cover six is quarter, quarter, half. That you got cover two to one side of the field, and cover 4
4.
to the other side of the field.
Now Al called us cover 7.
Oh, Al is here right now, by the way.
Al called us cover 7 because that's what Nick said. He's been with Nick Saban before, and Nick calls it cover 7.
Okay,
I'm
Nick.
an old school guy. When I first learned it, cover 6. For me, simplicity wise, I want a freshman coming in. What's cover 2? 2 deep. What's cover 6? Quarter, half. What's cover 3? 3 deep. What's cover 4? 4 deep. And then
Right,
we start talking about what the responsibilities are. And I know that's simplistic, but you know what? I'm a
right,
simple person.
right. But see, understanding that now when you watch the film study, Vance will tell you what everybody's doing within cover 6.
Right.
What they're supposed to. This is what the strong safety is supposed to do. This is what the mic is supposed to do. This is what the wheel is supposed to do. He'll give you all the details of where everybody's supposed to be. Now you understand the broad concept of
And
what
Sam,
cover
on that
6 is.
note, a lot of people, for example, for the will linebacker, they say, well, he has a curl drop. Well, that was 30 years ago when no one threw the football. So they have adjusted. When you watch our defense, we're a match defense. So that's why you call it a vertical hook now. He's going through the curl, but anybody goes through that hook vertically, he takes him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we call it a vertical hook, because we're taking it to the next step to match up to pattern read what's going on. And that's why we call it vertical hook. Like the Mike linebacker, we say the final number 3, because we're a match defense. He's over number 3 somewhere with depth 12 to 14 yards deep. So again, it's about counting from outside in. Cover 3 is 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 3/3, which is equal to 1. So in other words, is this: each corner has a third of the field, and the post safety has a middle third. So we have everything broken up. Now it's only 4 guys underneath. So let's go back. Cover 2 is how many guys deep, Sam? 2.
2.
How many guys underneath? 5. So we have 7 people in coverage when we just have a base 4-man rush. So it's 11 people on the field. We're rushing 4 and dropping 7. So in cover 3, there's still 5 underneath zones, Sam, but we only have 4 guys that cover them. So now what people have gone to right now is matching up. Okay. So now, for example, let's talk about the corners. They got deep thirds, right? So anytime number 1 starts going deep, anything over 12 or 14 yards, Sam, they lock them up man to man. And now this is an old diagram. Let's talk the nickel back, the ST. We should call it curl flat. Now, in this day and age, going back to Nick Saban and people come from the Belichick tree, they call it seam flat. So let's say we all got 4 guys going vertical, Sam. 4 guys going vertical. That nickel back right now, he's going to take number 2 vertically all the way to the football field. We're going to take away the 4 vertical right now. So if 1 and 2 went vertical, that's that nickel back. He's going to take number 2 all the way to the goal line. People are going to say, well, who's in the flat? Well, the mic relates to number 3. So if Mike checks and releases to the flat, guess what Mike going to do, Sam? He's going to be over the top of number 3. The first thing you do when they call it rip and liz match. It's a lot of ways of playing cover 3. We're going match defense. And Jesse last year was 100% match. He said he did both. When I watched the video, he wasn't doing both, Sam. He told the fans that, but he was matching up left and right. Hey, I would bet my paycheck on that, even though I don't have one. So, but he was 100% matchup guy right now. So they lock guys down to make throws tough on the quarterback. So let's say in that diagram you see right now, if 4 guys went vertical, the corners have number 1, the nickelbacker have number 2 vertical, the free safety is a curl flat dropper to the left. He's looking for the tight end number 3 coming vertical back deep. That's where his work comes from. The mic is going to the strong hook, and the will linebacker to the weak hook. So again, it is a matchup defense all the way. That's what Michigan has done for the past 3 years. I have no idea what they're going to do at the present time. I really don't. Again, there's your cover 3. And again, going back to the front, Sam, that's over defense again. And you can see the alignments they consider to show up all the time. This is a great look. So you look at that look right now. You think it could be man free, it could be cover 3. Anytime you go 2 by 2, a quarterback can't tell, are they man to man or they're playing 3 zone. And the way Jesse played cover 3, it was just like playing man. Okay. So now you can see both corners on number one. The nickel back to the field is on number two. The safety to the boundary is on number two. You can see Mike and Will inside. So right now, are they man to man or they cover three? It's gonna look the same, Sam.
So let's do something real quick
Hit me up.
for newbies who when you say to the field and to the boundary, they might not know what you mean.
Okay, here we go right now. You see the hash marks? So
So,
let's look at
these are hash marks right
these
here.
are hash marks. Okay, you can see the little dots, tick tack, tick tack. So anytime the ball is close to a hash mark, that means the other field is a little bit wider, a little bit longer. Okay, now if the ball, we stay to the boundary, to the short side of the field, that means the ball is near one hash, and to that particular side is not as much room. So now for a linebacker's drop, his drops will change. So the backer to the short side of the field, the right linebacker in that diagram, you know where his drop is, Sam? Right down the hash mark. Guess where he is right now? He's a yard from the hash mark. The other linebacker, landmark wise, if you spot dropping, his drop is to the field hash. He has a little further to go, but he relates to number three. If number three is not out, you see where that X is in the middle of the field? It's a good chance he's going to drop somewhere around there and just settle and read the quarterback and break. So again, when you talk about hash marks and location, wide field, middle of the field, the ball's right where the X is in the middle, short side of the field. See, right now, I think the offense would call this left middle. That's what they would call it. It's on the left hash, middle. To me, I just call it left hash. The offensive guys too smart for me. I keep telling you how smart they are. You know, they got all the answers for me. They got no answers, Sam. So offense call that a left middle hash. To me, I just call it right now. Defensively, from the defense perspective, that's the right hash for me.
Right.
And I'm saying ready to play.
Right. So think of the boundary as the short side of the field.
Yes, short side of the field. There you go.
All right. So to get back to your commentary, now that folks are understanding that, get back to your commentary.
So here we go. Let's say we playing cover three. You see the nickel and the safety both line on number two. Counting from outside in now. Their primary job is not to let number two go vertical. They're a seam flat player. In other words, the 1 and 2 go vertical, they carry number two vertical all the way to the goal line. So right now, both of those guys are going to collision the number two receiver. And after they collision, they play through those guys to their next progression. So if two goes inside, they're going to sit, they'll hold the curl. Okay. For the corners, if the number ones, the outside receivers on both sides, they go vertical, saying it's lock those guys down. So cover one and cover three look almost identical. Okay. The Mike and Will linebacker, after they clear run, they drop to the hash or yard inside the hash. And the guy in the middle of the field, I call him the insurance man. Anything breaks, he got to protect us right now. I got good insurance. Unless I live in Florida, you got no insurance. But here we go. Let's let it run, Sam, and see. They got stunt up front. We're not going to talk about stunts right now. Roll a little bit. Oh, nice. This is a great read. Great read. Let's run it back, Sam. This is a great read. Run it back, Sam. I want us right now to focus on the safety to the boundary, number three. The safety is number three. He's on number two to the boundary. When number two went inside, look what he does, Sam. He does what? How many guys over there right now, Sam? One. He's playing curl first. So two went inside. I'm playing curl right now because two didn't go vertical. I hold the curl. That's why we call it right now seam curl. And he's going to elevate the throw, and Will gets the interception. Run it back, Sam. Run it back. Let's go to the field right now. What did the safety to the field do, Sam? He rerouted number two. If number two goes vertical, his job is done, Sam. You see it? He takes it all the way. Run it back. Run it back. This is a great look for cover three. Now let's look at the two linebackers. Let's look at the linebacker to the field, Sam. Watch his drop and watch what he does. He has anything that crosses his face to the flat right now. Let it run. See him drop to the hash, Sam? You see him over that tight end on a drag route? That's a perfect look. Let's run it back again, Sam. We're going to go one guy at a time. Let's look at the linebacker to the boundary. He defending the hash to the short side of the field. Okay, let's let it run. He should look. He stopped right on the start. That's a great look at cover three. It gives you an example of everything we talked about. If number two doesn't go vertical, seam flat guy, he holds a curl. If number two goes vertical, I carry. Now it shows both of the linebackers. So everything we talked about, Sam, this is a great example, all of it right here. And now, what you tell a DB or linebacker when you pick the ball off, you go to the nearest hash mark. Don't run to the sideline because you run out of bounds. You go right down the top of the numbers, and now you got a chance to score. Sometimes defensive backs try to take it to the wide field, they get all broke down, Sam. I did that back in 1981. We playing TCU. I got to pick an interception, Sam. I listened to my coaches. I was smarter than my coach. I don't go from one hash to the four hash. I got jacked up. Go to the sideline. I might have a touchdown, but I was smarter than my coaches. But you can see right now,
Right.
seam flat. You can see the write up on everything right now. Freeze it right there, Sam.
Yeah.
You can see both seam flats. 1/3 hook curl. This is a great example of how to play a seam flat right here. You couldn't play it any better. You couldn't have a better example of what we're talking about. Cover three. Now, if you go to Nick Saban tree, they call this Rip and Liz match. I just call it cover three match. Like I said, I'm an old school guy. I learned it, so I just keep on talking about it.
All right. All right. So
This is a great picture of cover three here. How you play it, everything. I mean, that's a really good look. Excellent.
right. So again, I don't get bogged down in the details. Understand that on the back end, they each have deep thirds. Vance will talk you through on a weekly basis what all the different responsibilities are for the underneath coverages. But now you have a general idea of who's supposed to do what. What
But Sam, you're being too nice. I'm not agreeing with anything you just said. I am not agreeing with one thing you just said because last year on people who call in, they like, Coach, we saw this, man. You said just like this is going right. You say two inside. You look up one. Now, Sam, give me the details. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
I no. Listen. What I'm saying is right now, they're not going maybe they will remember everything right now.
You
Maybe
need to
maybe,
go home and
maybe they
study.
will.
This is a
Maybe they
test,
will.
Sam, for the next 60 seconds. This is a test. They better go home and study this. This is live at 5, baby. Come on. No, I'm not
They
giving
will.
nobody a break.
Vance, let's talk about position descriptions right now. So let me put that on the screen. So
And
here,
all it is that, it goes through, for example, Q quarterback, H halfback, R second running back, F for fullback, P is second fullback. And normally that means you are in probably some kind of 32 personnel. Y is the first tight end. U is the second tight end. T, third tight. Think about it. Third tight end. The T in third and the T in tight end. Boy, isn't that beautiful? What I want to say. Z, one is wide receiver strength. X is a weak wide receiver. S is a third wide receiver. Now, if they go four wides, we call that W. And V, that means they're in five wide receivers. Okay, so based on the personnel, so now we're on the sideline. We say right now they are in, say, 11 personnel, one tight end, you got one running back. That means there's three wide receivers in the game. So our defensive people know what's going on. Let's go to the diagrams right quick, Sam. So here we go right here. So now Z is normally going to the passing strength. S, right now, you can see him. He's the third receiver. So S means he in the slot. Sometimes offensive coaches might call him an H. That's fine. X is a weak side receiver. So again, we know there's three receivers in the game. F is a fullback. He normally goes to passing strength, no tighter in the game. H is a halfback. And so it's just that simple. Now, you look down at the bottom, we got really a wishbone. Now, put it out there for one reason. Y is a primary tight end. U is a second tight end, which also a lot of times means he's a movement guy. So if you're in 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends, he's the guy that's going to be up or moving around. I know Al's going to talk about that more. But then you can look at what we see in the backfield: fullback, tailback for T, H for halfback. And now let's go down to the bottom screen, Sam. Z is always going to passing strength, just to let you know. S is a third wide receiver. W, he's a fourth wide receiver. He's weak. And then you have X. So if they were in 3-by-1, that means the W is going to be number 3. So if you ever hear us talking about ZS, XW, it's 4 wide receivers in the ball game. Just that simple. So we're telling you what the personnel is, and we're just giving those guys letters. You can say, well, Vance, where did they come from? Well, I learned X, Y, and Z back in 1974 when I was in high school. And as I got into the league, people who run West Coast offense, going back to Bill Walsh, that's how they kind of name things. And I've been in a West Coast system with different guys. I just learned that from those guys, and I just kind of stuck with me as a defensive coach. So you have Z, S is a third wide receiver, W is a fourth wide receiver, and X is a weak side wide receiver.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Vance Bedford, I think we have given the people a good dose, a good dose, a good baseline of what they need to see. We gave them, we gave them alignments. We gave them position descriptions. We gave them basic coverages. Right now, you have different calls that you're gonna get into your Cowboys and your Lightnings, but you don't know. We don't know how Wink Martindale. We don't know what he's gonna call, so it doesn't to get into those things really doesn't make a lot of sense right now, right?
I believe that, and I know they say, well, the last two guys came from his tree. Okay, when a seed falls from a tree, it's not going to be the same as the tree it's falling from. It could be whether insects got a hold of it, whether you fertilize it, whether it fell in rocky soil or soil with thorns on it. You just don't have any idea, Sam. So to say, well, these guys came from his tree, they've been with a bunch of other guys that they implemented things that suited them. Jesse was different from Mike. Jesse brought in more coverages than what Mike had, which actually made them a better defense. Well, Wink has been a more aggressive guy, more man-to-man guy. So you're going to see some of the same things. Until I see them play, I don't know. They're going to try not to show a lot of things versus Fresno State to save it for Texas. But as you and I talked earlier, Fresno State now, they're a junior senior team. They can bring some people in there because they've had a couple of first round picks come out of that program. So don't ever take them for granted. If they're a veteran team, it's not going to be an easy game. Then your next game is Texas. And I'm waiting to see if he's going to be a little bit what Jesse and Mike did or whether what he did in the NFL. Uh, I'm a Texas X. I keep up with Texas like I keep up with Michigan. Don't line up there and play man-to-man on them boys because they can run. They got a track team playing wide receiver. They're young, but they can fly. They can disappear right now. I just saw them the other day running down here. They ran from Austin, Texas to Loveland, said hello, and ran back. They were invisible. They ran so fast. So we don't want to be playing man-to-man just because that's what we do. I'm not a believer in that. If we do what we've been doing for the past 3 years, we will win that ball game. If not, I'm gonna, you know what? People might get mad at old Vance, but you know me, Sam. I don't hold nothing back. When I look at the first ball game, I want to tell you again, you play man to man, it's gonna be some unhappy people that night after that ball game.
Yeah, yeah. Well, folks, listen. This is just the wet your whistle. This is just to set the stage for the rest of the season with the football film studies to give you your key. This is your key as we break down each game. You can go back and you need basic terms and basic concepts. You can refer to this video on a weekly basis. You're going to find the film studies from this point on exclusively on the Autograph app. What is Autograph, you ask? Well, Autograph is the place where you can find the fan experience in the palm of your hand on your phone, be it an Android or your iPhone, iOS. It aggregates the fan experience. Autograph provides for free the best sports coverage in one place. Your podcasts, your YouTube videos, your blogs, everything that you do as a fan in one place. And you can get rewarded for those fan consumptions with exclusive access to discounted true fan pricing to tickets and merchandise, memorabilia, trophies, and more. You'll get access to content like the blogs that I talked about, podcasts, social media, submissions, live scores, play-by-play, schedules, and much more, all in one single app. And by the way, like I said, exclusive access to the Michigan football film study focused on the defense with Vance Bedford, the Michigan football film study focused on the offense with Al Borges. You got to download the app, though. Again, here is the QR code. Download that app right now. Get it while you can, which is it's always available, whether you're an Android user or an iPhone user. If you don't know how to scan a QR code, I know some of you, I get it. That's not what you do. I don't know how to scan, Sam. That's fine. Go to link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. Again, link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. Download the Autograph app so you can watch the film studies all season long. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. This is how you. It's free. And by the way, all your fan consumptions, your Michigan fan consumptions, all of our free content from the Michigan Insider goes through there as well. Your favorite blogs, your favorite podcasts, our YouTube videos. And each time you read those, consume those, you get points and you can redeem those for rewards. Doesn't get any better than that. And by the way, as you're watching this, all of these perks that you get for being an autograph user, let me tell you about something else, right? Because you're watching all these autograph perks. I'm gonna tell you about something else that we got working. Vance is gonna watch Ohio State video every week. Al is gonna watch Ohio State video every week. You know how these coaches are paying these analysts to break down this film, and they want to be up to date. I want you to find out all the weaknesses of these opponents. I want you to break them down like no one else can break them down. I want you to break them down like Vance and Al broke down Alabama heading into the Rose Bowl. You remember Al Borges said, yeah, you got to attack Nick Saban with motions and shifts. This is how you're going to beat that match 3 defense that he has. What did Michigan do in the Rose Bowl? That's exactly what they did. And did you see Vance Bedford say, yeah, man, they're gonna try to hit you with these fade balls. I know how to take them away. Did you see Michigan take them away? With the outside leverage, did you see it happen? They had them scouted to a T. Well, they're going to do the same thing with Ohio State because they're going to watch Ohio State every week of the season. And during Michigan's first bye week, we're going to have the Buckeye breakdown focused on the offense with an Ohio State film study on the Buckeye offense. And then we're going to have an Ohio State film study on the Buckeye defense. And then we're going to do the same thing in Michigan's second bye week for Ohio State's second half of the season. But in order to make that happen, you got to help fund the Buckeye breakdown. So here is the link to help fund the Buckeye breakdown. Click on that link. Go over to the PayPal. Help fund that. Drive that up because we got to help take care of Tiki. We got to help take care of Maggie. We got to send Al on vacation so they can be fresh and make it ready to go so we can fund these Buckeye breakdowns. And we're going to make these film studies bigger and better than ever. I hope you enjoy the film study and the breakdowns because we're going to put more into it than we ever have before.
Hey,
Van
Sam, you know, there are a lot of shows out there. You know, I look at some of these shows. There is no other show like what Sam has right now. You have 2 coaches that breaking things down for an 8th grader to understand, for a wife who's never seen football to understand. They're doing diagrams. We don't talk about statistics like a lot of these shows do. You have 2 coaches, retired coaches, been all over the country and worked with some great coaches. This is a totally different show. You can actually learn football on what a gap is or how you run a power, how you block this front. I watch Al stuff all the time and see what Al's talking about because it still helps me. So you probably this is the only show in the country that's like this. For you not to watch this and go tell your friends and tell your husband to get off the couch, don't have all the genius ideas that he has to come with you and watch this show, something's wrong with you. This is by far the best show out there. We telling you like it is, and we make it fun at the same time. And guess what? This year we've been backed by Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, the Michigan man himself, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame early. What are we talking about? This is by far the best show. Hey, Sam, if I wasn't on the show, I'm watching. I'm watching. Sam, come on, baby. Uh, so, hey, spread the word. Let's make this by far the most watched show in the country this year. Let's push the Wolverines back to the championship round with your support. Let's go, Wolverines. Spread the word.
Yeah. Download that Autograph app. The Michigan Football Film Studies available exclusively on Autograph all season long. So be sure to follow us and check it out. Get that Autograph app. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching another edition of the Michigan Football Film Study focused on the defense with Vance Bedford.
Go Blue.